Hi, Joe Bolte, PFR technician and herbicide specialist, coming from Effingham, Illinois today. So we've recently just talked about our herbicide insight video series and some of the points to be successful when we're talking about weed control. So we're going to do a little bit of a recap here. We're doing a recap on how to be successful with Liberty. Well, why are we focusing on Liberty? Well, going into 21, a lot of the trait platforms out there have Liberty in them. So to be successful with Liberty, Liberty is a great product. It can control a lot of those glyphosate-resistant weeds that we've struggled with in the last 5-6 years. So Liberty is a great tool. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the things to ensure that we're being successful, to ultimately take some of that selection pressure, to ensure that's an effective tool to remain for years to come, and that way we don't get resistance, right? We got to respect the technology. We got to be successful with it to make sure that technology remains effective for years to come. So no matter what trait platform we're talking about, there's a few things to keep in mind. Austin Scott did a great job in his video talking about the powers in the pre, that Preemerge is a foundation to our house. We want a good solid foundation, so using multiple effective sites of action, using at least 2, preferably 3 effective sites of action for your Preemerge. That gives us that foundation. And then in-season residuals, that's another important part. With that Preemerge, we're trying to get to canopy closure, but sometimes we don't get to canopy closure before that pre breaks. So that in-season residual buys another layer of protection. Plus, that's important because a lot of post herbicides such as Liberty don't have residual activity. So we'll control what's there, but we're not going to have protection from future emergence there. So that in-season residual can really help us out, help us get to canopy closure. So the powers in the pre, in-season residuals, we do all those things that's going to help take that selection pressure off Liberty and ultimately helps us with the more successful herbicide program in general. So we need to be doing those things. When we look at Liberty itself, so Liberty is a contact herbicide, so it's not systemic like glyphosate. So we need good coverage. Coverage is king. So 20 GPA. So in the Liberty and glyphosate carrier rate, Liberty carrier rate, we looked at what the different carrier rates did. We see a huge increase going from just 15 to 20. On label, we got to run at least 15, but that extra 5 gallons really helps us out with Liberty. So I asked this question: what's cheaper, 5 gallons of water or 1 acre of product? Yeah, that extra 5 gallons of water maybe has some logistics challenges to it, but it makes a big difference when it comes to our efficacy. So we're going to want to run 20 GPA to help increase the coverage. Then we're also going to want to run the right spray tip. So Liberty, we need good coverage. So thinking about the XR flat fan. So we done a video looking at the different nozzles. We could even maybe go a little bit better than that, looking at something along the like the twin turbos where we got the dual fans from T-Jet. So anything that's getting the smaller droplets, good coverage is key with Liberty. And talking about weed size, continuing that whole coverage topic. If we have smaller weeds, we're going to have better coverage. It's going to be easier to control a smaller weed, especially with the contact herbicide, because we're going to be able to get better coverage and make sure we're killing all those growing points. And then we move into AMS. Liberty is very important with AMS, running at least 2 to 3 pounds. Is what we prefer. Label says 1.5 pounds, 3 pounds, but that 2 to 3 pounds is really going to help optimize the Liberty. Liberty's going to also work better in the heat of the day, so we're going to want to spray it in banker hours. The hotter it is, the more humid it is, the more sun we have, the better efficacy we're going to have out of that product. And finally, if we think about Liberty, all right, so Liberty, can we add glyphosate to it? So we've done some work thinking about Liberty and glyphosate. So what's the advantages of that? Well, some of the weeds that Liberty's weaker on, grasses, velvet leaf, lamb's quarter, cocklebur, some of those weeds that Liberty's weaker on, glyphosate's still really good at. Well, now you got a contact and systemic product. So if we do a Liberty and glyphosate mixture, there's some key things to keep in mind. So we're going to want to run 1.125 pounds acid equivalent of glyphosate with Liberty. We're going to want to run that 1-to-1 ratio. Why is that key? Well, the glyphosate's going to work slower in the plant. All right, so we got to make sure we don't cut our glyphosate rate back. We do probably experience some antagonism, so we're going to want to spray those weeds when they're small, less than 4 inches. If we start getting grass that are more than 4 inches, we're going to start seeing antagonism with that mixture. So we're going to get more broad spectrum. And we're going to want to manage that mixture like a Liberty application, 20 GPA, 2 to 3 pounds of AMS, running the right spray tips, spraying in the heat of the day. So if we do all those, we can be successful. But if we miss some of those steps, we can experience antagonism, and then in that case we would be better off to make the application separate. So we've had good luck when we've done those things. So Liberty's a great product, right? We've had a lot of success with Liberty the past few years. It's an exciting time going to 21 because there's a lot of platforms out there that we can spray Liberty with. Just remember to follow some of these key steps to ultimately help you be successful with that Liberty application. Thank you for watching and have a great day.